Hello, everyone. Welcome in to episode 16 of the Burnt Rubber Racing podcast, the AJ Allmendinger episode. We're coming at you this week, the road course ace. Fortunately, he is not going to be gracing the Cup Series with his presence on the Sonoma Raceway road course this week because the Xfinity Series is in Ohio. We'll get to all that later. At any rate, I am Henry John. I'm back in the main host chair, I guess you'd call it, this week. It's been a couple weeks off. Kind of nice. I felt like I was slacking in show prep, but it was great to have Marty Chikala on with us last week. And he's no longer here, but Zach McAdoo is, like he is every week. How are you doing, sir? Big week for you. Great weekend of racing.
Yeah, big week behind us. Big week ahead. Looking forward to this weekend for me too. So let's get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, we are coming off of a wild Memorial Day weekend. 1,100 miles on Sunday. The Truck and Xfinity Series did not disappoint on Friday and Saturday. We will dive into all four races, recap what we saw, what we learned, who's hot, who's not. We've got a few motorsports news and notes to go over this week, and then it's off to Sonoma, right, with the NASCAR Cup Series, back to the road course after the longest race of the year. And we will look at the DFS, the driver stats, the betting odds, all that good stuff for this weekend's race out in California. You know, speaking of betting, I guess I'm supposed to be like the betting guy here at this table, right? Like, McAdoo doesn't even like to bet top threes, and he laughs at me when I bet top tens, and I want to bet all these things to make money. I mean, I guess picking winners works for you, huh? You have a little grin on your face after this Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure for those of you who tuned in, you saw someone call their shot.
Somebody called their shot indeed, and let's take a listen to that shot right now. This was on the Greatest Day in Racing pre-show, I guess was the official name for it. We were teasing it here on the podcast last week in a couple different spots, trying to get you to watch it over on Trainwreck Sports. It was a quad box. It was a good time. We had a lot of good discussion ahead of both the IndyCar, the Indianapolis 500, and the Coke 600 races. And you know, it came time to make our Indy 500 picks. Zach wouldn't give them to us. Me and Marty were nagging him for picks on the show last week. He wouldn't give them to us. Well, he dropped this on that very pre-show, and that is what you are hearing now.
There's this floor in my head that I think it also works for this. And in the 500, Helio Castern Evans wins his fourth Indy 500. We should jump to.
And there it is. So where did that come from? Were you like building that up? Did you have that in mind Thursday? Did you have Castern Evans like getting to victory lane in your head on Thursday? Or was that a spur of the moment thing? Like you've got to give us more, man. You just picked the winner.
No, so actually I picked the day before the day before our podcast last week. I went on Marty's show and said Graham Rahal was going to win the Indy 500. But then practice happened Friday. I was like, okay, I'm not confident in Graham Rahal anymore. So then I don't know what it was. I just was like, you know something, Helio, he's looking good. Starting 8th, he's back at the track, and he might get it done today. And I was just, it was amazing to me, man. We'll get more into it when we get to the 500 here.
Castern Evans was. His odds to win the Indy 500 were as long as 42-1 earlier in the week before the race. 30-1, I believe, the morning of the race. He got bet down a little bit, and Helio Castern Evans comes through. McAdoo nails it. 4-time Indy 500 winner. I mean, we got to start with the Indianapolis 500, right? It was the first race on the Greatest Day of Racing. So we'll get IndyCar out of the way as they're not racing this week, and then we can jump over to some stocks. I guess initial thoughts off the top from you. It wasn't a surprise to me to see fuel mileage kind of come to the forefront just in terms of strategy, what different teams were doing right out of the gates. And Scott Dixon was willing to let the young guys behind him go right on by in order to conserve some fuel. Unfortunately, that didn't necessarily work out in his favor. But what were your thoughts, I guess, as the race got underway, first 30 laps or so?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a surprise that they're just going to stay fuel now. It's been a thing for at least 5 years. I remember all the way back to 2017, I want to say, maybe 2016. You'll see guys just be in fuel conservation mode. And Dixon allegedly was going to be the smart one here. I shouldn't say allegedly. In theory, it was going to be a smart move, but the way the caution planned out and everything, it kind of ruined the strategy, and it cost him a little bit.
Yeah, talk about an untimely caution. So green flag pit stops get underway, a couple cars get in, get out, and Stephen Wilson, he didn't get in or out. I mean, he got in, but he came in way too hard, locked it up, hit the wall, spun out, blocking pit road. IndyCar has no choice but to throw a caution, right? When you got other guys coming down, 4 green flag stops here at this point in the race. And that leaves Scott Dixon low on fuel. They got to run some caution laps out here. And while they're cleaning up the pit road mess, he had to come down for an emergency filling along with Alexander Rossi, another guy all three of us, Marty included, were high here on the show last week in terms of what he might be able to do in this race. And it went terribly for both of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to start on Stephen Wilson. It's such a shame. I don't say I had high hopes for him, but I wanted to finish the race. He was in the same car his brother was in when he tragically died 6 years ago. So, it sucks in the end, but it is what it is. But then Rossi and Dixon have their problems on pit road. I forget who it was, but I think not Matt Yoakum. One of the pit reporters there for NBC was just going, he kept counting the times that Dixon sitting there failed. I'm just sitting there going, oh God, this is not good at all. I'm sure all his bettors were just like, yep, there goes my chances. But yeah, I think it was cool when Rossi, during before they went to green, you just see Rossi go like this, like signaling, we got to go now.
Yep. Yeah, they made the pact, kind of, if you will, the alliance or whatever, to work together to get back on that lead lap. Both Scott Dixon and Alexander Rossi going a lap down as they could not refire the engines, pitting for emergency fuel because of that untimely caution. Rossi would never get that lap back. Dixon would, but just the way things cycled out, he was never truly in a position where he could use strategy to win. Because of that incident, Ed Carpenter Racing took full control here of this thing out front. And, Ed Carpenter was the strong car running at the end, but a great showing out of a couple of his young drivers here in this race as well.
Yeah, I mean, Connor Daly really surprised me. He's never really been up front here at the Indy 500. I think I've seen more wrecks than led laps by him, and I think NBC said
you're wrong.
I think NBC said this is the first time Connor Daly's led at the track, and I mean, what a great day for Ed Carpenter Racing. Renus VK was out front a lot in that Bitcoin car that we talked a lot about for the greatest pre-show that we had there on Sunday, but heck of a day for Ed Carpenter Racing. Not the results they wanted out of the 21 or the 47, but they showed signs of life.
Yeah, absolutely. The Bitcoin car was sick for VK, and just the crowd reaction when Daly, the hometown guy, took the lead there. That was pretty awesome to hear. Probably NBC mic'd it up a little louder than some of the other moments. I'm sure the crowd was noisy the entire day, but it was still cool as the viewer watching on TV to see him. And he wound up leading the most laps, I believe, in this race when it was all said and done. Am I right? So a solid day for the Ed Carpenter team there. Graham Rahal, this was Zach's, I guess, pick on Thursday or Wednesday or something. Wasn't a bad pick, if Helio Castern wasn't going to win this thing after you took him Sunday. Sure looked like Graham Rahal had a great shot. He was fast. He had the car that was saving enough fuel. He was getting it done on pit road, and then they weren't getting it done on pit road because somebody didn't quite get a lug nut secure.
Yeah, I mean, scary situation here. As soon as he gets out of the pits, he revs it up, and immediately the tire falls off, and he goes headfirst into the wall. just glad to see him get up and out of the car. He showed his frustration because he knew he had them, and I don't think he's wrong. I think if everything went to plan, Rahal's good.
I totally agree with you. That car was fast. The tire actually that fell off bounced off the wall and bounced into the front of Connor Daly. The fact that he came out of the pits and hit the wall, flew right across the track, right in front of the leaders, like just incredible. Honestly, if he was maybe another 1/10 of a second slower or later coming out of pit road, that could have been a whole lot uglier up front. Just the way that played out. So luckily he's okay. Didn't impact any other cars necessarily. But yeah, it's a shame because I agree with you. They had the car to get this thing done. At any rate, that was the last caution of the day. You only had the one for Wilson on pit road, and then you had Graham Rahal's incident coming off pit road. This Indianapolis 500 sets a record for the fewest cautions in the history of the race by 2. Just 2 yellow flags. The previous record was 4. So a little interesting tidbit there. After that, it felt like things kind of settled out, right, in terms of strategy and where everyone was running. And it was Castern Neves, Alex Palou, and Pato O'Ward who were the big 3 here at this point. And Palou seemed to have kind of a handle on the lead, it felt like, for majority of the final 50 laps. Did you think did it feel like it was his to lose, or was this kind of even? Any of the 3, take your pick.
I feel like it was any of the 3 there. I don't think Palou had it specifically because you knew Castern Neves had the experience. Palou had the speed, and O'Ward was that little wild card that anything can happen here. We've seen it happen before where first and second take each other out, and he's there. So I mean, anything could have happened with the top 3.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was excited to see O'Ward run well. May or may not have been my pick on that greatest day in racing pre-show. So at least I was close, Zach. At least I was only 2 spots behind you. But at any rate, Simon Pagenaud would work his way up into the battle later in the race, had a fast car. But once he got to these top 3, he could not make up any further ground. Kind of the same thing for Ed Carpenter, right? His 2... I guess you'd call them employees, falling back a little bit, but he drives to the front and winds up finishing 5th. In the end, though, it comes down to Palou and Castern Neves. They swap the lead with 10 to go, and then the winning pass with just 2 remaining. What a move! Walk us through it. Walk us through these final 10 laps. I know one of us may or may not have been even able to sit down during it, so. Anything from your experience to the race itself, it's all yours. You pick the winner here, man.
Yeah, so like he said, I could not sit down for the final 10 laps. I was nervous. I hate people when people say this is Serena Cobra. It's not Serena Cobra. It's just the nervous. I was nervous, man. Like I didn't even bet Castern. I just wanted him to win because I picked him. But like, Palou, Castern go back and forth. Like you hope for a block here, you hope for a pass here, and then with 2 to go, Castern Neves on the outside passes Alex Palou. What a move! He was able to hold the lead and get it done for his 4th Indianapolis 500 win. I was speechless, man. That was a great celebration he had running down the track, celebrating with as many people as he could before even NBC had to cut to commercial before they could even interview him. That's how long his celebration was. I love the fence climb and everything there, man. It was amazing.
There you have it, folks. Spider-Man is back at the Brickyard. He's back in victory lane. He climbed the fence not once but twice, I'm pretty sure. Like Zach said, NBC had to go to commercial. They missed his initial kiss of the bricks because this whole celebration was so long. They had to show us that on replay. It was awesome. Castern Neves is now one of 4 drivers to win the greatest spectacle in racing, the Indianapolis 500, 4 times. That's the most, of course, that any driver has ever won it. He joins Al Unser, AJ Foyt. Who is the last one? I'm blanking on it here.
There's 2 Unsers, and I forget who the other one is.
We're not going to miss this. Give me a second while I find that. But at any rate, historic, history made. It was great to have fans.
In 3 cases, the least caution flags, the fastest Indy 500 ever, and with Castern Evans joining the most wins for the Indy 500 group.
Yeah, that's the one I left out. So this was the fastest Indianapolis 500 in history as well. So just crazy stuff all around. I'm yet to find the other driver here that was the 4-time winner. But like I was saying, just it was great to have fans back at the track. It felt like there were more than whatever 40% capacity was, or
imagine if that crowd was 100%.
Ah,
Imagine if that crowd was 100% this weekend with Castern Evans getting number 4.
Precisely. It would have been absolutely insane. It was insane enough to begin with. Also very interesting, I thought, to see just the whole hug with Roger Penske after the fact, knowing that he got let go, knowing that he still doesn't have a full-time ride, gets this done for Meyer-Shank. I guess the question we go from here, is he back in IndyCar full-time next year? Is he driving for Meyer-Shank? Is he driving for someone else? What do you think? What's next for Helio?
Time will tell. I'm not a fortune teller here, but I don't know. I believe he'll be back for the Indy 500 next year. That's about the only thing I can tell you.
I would sure hope so. The way he was running up and down, he is far from done. There will be a number of drive for fives if I were to predict that. Rick Mears is the other driver with 4 Indy 500 wins. There you go. So Al Unser, AJ Foyt, Rick Mears, and now Helio Castroneves, 4-time Indianapolis 500 winners. Will there be a 5th in his future? He's 46. Sure doesn't act like it. Epic race. I was able to stay seated for most of it, but my heart rate was through the roof.
Your heart rate's through the roof. Could you imagine mine?
I don't even want to think about it. On that note, we better go to the Coca-Cola 600 because we had 600 more miles of racing to enjoy on Sunday after Indy. Indy was close all the way down to the wire, right? A lot of moving parts. This one, total domination. Your off-the-top reactions as we have more history made. 2 races, so many history-making moments. And Hendrick Motorsports steals the show here at Charlotte with the Coca-Cola 600.
So, yeah, I have the Dover Domination shirt on right now, and this is more Hendrick Motorsports domination here for them. And Larson, I was surprised to see him do this well. I thought something would go wrong at the end, and like it usually does, but this is the first time I can remember he absolutely dominates a race and wins. Just kudos to him for the first time winning a race longer than 400 miles.
Yeah, literally the longest race of the year, 600 miles. There's an extra stage in the Coca-Cola 600. Instead of 3, you got 4. Kyle Larson wins every single one of them and drives to his 2nd win of the year and the record-setting 269th NASCAR Cup Series win for Hendrick Motorsports. Breaks the tie they just got last week with Petty Enterprises. And, I mean, geez, what this garage is doing right now is absolutely insane. Let's walk through the race here a little bit from start to finish. Kyle Busch, you were high on him, very much so for DFS. I think you might have even thrown him out there as a pick to win at one point or another. Yeah. Very fast early, no trouble starting back in the field, and he was picking them off left and right here, driving right up to the top 5 in seemingly no time.
Yeah, I mean, he was on a mission on Sunday, and you knew it. Even pissing off Ryan Blaney at one point for making a pass, which I don't know what Blaney's problem was, but you're racing. Why? It's early on, yes, but it's still a race, and with the stages, you're trying to earn points. So,
yeah, I mean, Blaney and Team Penske have got more issues than just being passed by Kyle Busch right now, by the looks of things. Speaking of issues and teams, Ross Chastain, I was high on him. We keep moving him up in these NASCAR power rankings, which we're going to dive into those a little bit here later in the show, too. The new ones for this week. Zach can make fun of everyone that I have ranked. Chastain loses an oil line belt there goes my prop bet on him to finish top 10 or finish on the lead lap. I can't remember what the official pick was there in the article, but he qualified well. And a rough day for Chip Ganassi Racing. Speaking of Scott Dixon at the Indy 500 and just their overall results there, only gets worse because Kurt Busch, Chastain's teammate here, would have the same exact problem later in this race. What the heck's going on here?
Yeah, I guess you had both of them in their DFS lineup.
Guess who was high on both of them with props?
Yeah, I thought Chastain turned a corner after Coda. I thought Kurt Busch was, well, until he overran the one corner there and made the move I've seen in a long time. I thought he was back too, but apparently the equipment's not. So now that we have to go back and figure that we can't take him for a little bit now until they get their equipment figured out. I mean, how do you 2 oil line breaks in one race?
The same exact issue, both cars of the team. Unbelievable. Things would only get worse for Kurt Busch. Both were able to get the belts repaired and get back out on track. Now Chastain would drive until the end of this race and finish however many laps down, 40 probably by the end of it. Kurt Busch, nope. He blows an engine coming back out, and yeah, last place. There you go.
Yeah, just move on. I'm tired of talking about that.
Okay, fair enough. So, really the only other drama, I guess, in stage one, Daniel Suarez cut a tire down toward the end. He would rally, though. We'll get to some notable finishes here when we kind of wrap up the race, but overall, I thought the 99 team did a nice job of bouncing back from that. It could have been a whole lot worse. Larson wins stage one. Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman, they get the lead here for brief stints in the second stage. Alex Bowman used a 2-tire stop to do so. A couple other cars had joined him actually on that 2-tire stop. Denny Hamlin was able to run near the front for a little while. Joey Logano, though, speaking of Team Penske and Ryan Blaney, he fell back very quickly, it seemed like to me, on that strategy. And didn't matter. Larson passes everyone who tried to get up front. You win stage two. Anything else you wanted to add on that second 100 laps?
No, just afterwards, seeing the halfway remembrance, just a nice tribute again. Was a little skeptical like that at the first time they did it in 2019 because it feels bad like to stop a race like that. Stage breaks are bad enough, but then you completely stop them just to cool down the engines a little bit. It might help I don't know, but I think it's worked out ever since they did it the first time, and I'm all for it going forward.
Yeah, I am too. It's really nice to see just a moment of silence fall over the speedway. You're in the middle of the longest race of the year. Completely agree. Like we said all last week, this weekend was bigger than just racing. We had great racing for sure, but important to remember why we have this long weekend, why we have all these races lined up together. So,
and before we move on, Jason Dunham, if you haven't seen his story, look him up. And they had him on the Fox Sports pre-show there. I was bawling like a baby watching it, man. I teared up so bad, and it was just an amazing story.
Absolutely. So we go to stage three after that moment of remembrance for our fallen military men and women. And, well, Christopher Bell hits the wall. I mean, gosh, this 20 team, major issue. Speaking of people who fell down in the NASCAR power rankings this week, they are struggling.
Yeah, I mean, I think Joe Gibbs had some in Kansas, but ever since then, they haven't been that great. Besides Darlington. I forgot Darlington was the week after. Ever since Darlington, because Truex dominated that one. But you want to talk about an absolute ass whooping? It's this race.
Yeah, this one felt like almost 10 times more of an ass whooping than Truex laid on the field at Darlington. And that is saying something. I'll give him his credit where credit is due. Elsewhere in stage three, William Byron, he gets a shot and gets by Kyle Larson. So these longer runs, Larson does lose some time to his Hendrick teammates over the first three stages. That was noteworthy. However, they have the leadoff pit stall. They're right at the front, and Larson destroys him coming out of pit road. Pretty sure it was like a full almost 2-second swing when they compared pit stops side by side, driver and crew. He goes on to win stage 3, and he's never threatened in stage 4. So they obviously must have made some sort of adjustment, I feel like, to the number 5 to make him even better on the long runs. Wins this race by not 1, not 2. I'll just get to it. Over 10 seconds. I mean, unbelievable. All 4 Hendrick Motorsports cars in the top 5. It's the record-setting win, like we said before, for the team. Wrap it up for us, because, I mean, what Hendrick is doing right now is just truly incredible. We saw it at Dover, 3 weeks ago now? 2 weeks ago? It wasn't.
Yeah, 3.
I mean, time flies when you're having fun, right? But these Camaros are absolutely flying.
I mean, yeah, I believe they're a team to beat, but Clint Boyer did bring up something that I was thinking of during the race. Are they peaking too soon? Like, are they reaching their peak too early in the season to get late for the back half of the season? Because the only thing that matters is the last 10 weeks. The way that the standings are done now with the playoffs, nothing matters until that. First you have to get in, and then after you're in, it's all out war.
Yeah, it's 3 races per round, and you've got to show up in all 3 rounds. If you're not winning a race, you got to throw down 3 solid finishes, or you risk being eliminated. And what you did, at the races prior, it does not matter. So that is something interesting to note there.
Oh, God.
Some other notable finishes from this race. I can just run through the top 10 here quick. So Chase Elliott was second. Kyle Busch splitting up those Hendrick Camaros in the top 5. He finishes third. Then we've got William Byron coming in 4th. Alex Bowman 5th. Austin Dillon 6th. Denny Hamlin 7th. Hamlin complaining about his equipment, and yet he's still running top 10 like the entire way. Still, though, a gap between where this 11 team was and where they were earlier in the season, maybe, or is it just Hendrick's a lot better? I don't know. Curious to hear your thoughts on him. Chris Buescher shows out again, finishing 8th, another top 10 for him, as well as Tyler Reddick in 9th. So we got both RCR cars top 10. Kevin Harvick running top 5 a lot of the day. He did fade, but he does hold on to finish 10th. Anyone there jump out? And I also want to hear more from you on Denny Hamlin. Is the 11 team slipping? Or is Hendrick just that much better now that Hamlin's not leading laps like he was early in the year? Because he still hasn't won a race, right? But it's just interesting to see like the difference in running position, I guess, if you will, for him.
I don't know. I honestly, I was just thinking about this. Could qualifying play a factor into this? Because Hamlin is first in points. So usually he'll be up front more. Why you mess with my mic? Can you not hear me? Oh, this is great. Technical difficulties because he doesn't know how to run a show. No? Yes? Hear me now? No? Oh, God. Bear with us, folks.
I guess I'll just edit it and we can restart. That's fine.
All right, but
you can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you. So
okay, I'll just restart it.
I'll just point to you when I'm done. How about that? I'll point